Hey everybody, Robin here. Welcome to my channel, Oracle Rising. I'm getting a look from Lacey already because I'm sitting in her favorite spot. So let's hope that she doesn't have another redo of, like, she barged right in the other day on when I was shooting the Mintalkin Starseed video and I died. It was so funny. But anyway, today I'm going to bring to you your shadow self element based on your sun sign element. I do tons of research to get ideas and inspiration to do videos. So I was going through the internet and I was like, well, this is something I did not know. And I found it very interesting. So of course I wanted to bring it to you guys. Oh, she's headed this way, guys. So brace yourselves. So every sun sign resonates with an element, and you see that in tarot. Okay, just for an example, I'm an Aries sun. So my element is fire. So I really wanted to talk about this, and I'm going to pull some cards from the Gilded Tarot to correspond with this. So the earth element, the three sun signs that reside in the earth element are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. And the shadow self element is chaos. So if you guys don't know what your shadow self is, I've done a couple of videos. You don't have to watch my stuff, but I love it when you do. It's that darkness in you. It is that dark side, and it can get you into trouble, but it can also save you. And just like you on your daily, you like certain situations, you might like to laugh or, hang around with people. There's elements of your sun sign, characteristics of your sun sign that resonate with that half of you. But the darkness, of course, likes things in a different way, So chaos is the element that resonates with earth signs. And chaos, explained, is a state of utter confusion or disorder. So if you find your life is like kind of a disaster, you're not getting along with people, you just can't figure things out, this could be your shadow self either creating situations or enjoying the situation so much it is not allowing you in your lightness to resolve them. Okay, so I find this so fascinating, and I honestly just stumble across things while I'm looking for content or just to increase my knowledge or help me on my ascension path. And I was like, wow, this is huge. So for earth signs, you could intentionally be creating chaos from your shadow self, because your shadow self is part of you. It's never going to leave. So learning how to love and get along with your shadow self is going to be one of the best things you do for yourself. Okay, so I got to stop saying self. Chaos. I'm going to pull a card for that. oh man, right on cue. But this is very interesting that I pulled this card, because this is the Tower card, and it is the epitome of chaos in your life. So you hear that phrase, like, it's always darkest before the dawn. And I did a video not too long ago about timelines, and that timelines, you're within reach of hopping them to a better existence, a better life. So chaos can be instilled in order to bring around order. You know what I mean? I hope that all made sense, because I duplicated a couple of words there. But the Tower card, it shows this massive discomfort. It shows, look at this. I mean, that's not cool, but after that, the storm subsides. So if there's some way that you can learn to understand the chaos within you and the chaos that you're seeing outside of you, and sort of step back a little bit, be a little bit less emotionally involved or embarrassed, like, oh, did I do that? But meanwhile, it was your shadow self, and they're like, oh, sorry, not sorry. You know what I mean? So the Tower moment, this generally happens before things get really, really, really clear. And this could be something that keeps on repeating itself in your life. You could be dating the same person over and over again, because you need to learn how to grow within you. So your shadow self is actually trying to do you a favor by presenting the same thing over and over to you, or very challenging scenarios and situations, so that you can grow from it. Okay, so I find this really fascinating. Let me get my book. Hi, Lacey. I just want her to stay there because... So for Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, I'm an Aries, okay? We have the fire element. If you've ever met a fire sign, you know who they are because there's no mistaking a fire sign. So, the shadow element for fire signs is darkness. And I can really attest to this. I can really resonate with this. I find that Aries, Leo, Sagittarius have staggering highs and equally as low-lying darkness enveloping them. So this is a deep, brooding, and sometimes harmful thoughts. And that just makes so much sense, you know. Aries are very strong, very powerful, but words and situations can cut into them very deep. And I think I just said Aries, but Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, all fire signs. Might have to retreat, kind of like an injured animal, just to say, okay, I need to recover from that, and really just take things personally and sink into a black hole of darkness. And I've done this many times in my life. And the harmful thoughts, unfortunately, I have had those myself until I went through a very extended dark night of the soul. Archangel Gabriel came to me at my darkest moment and lifted me up, and you know, I was informed that I have more to do on my journey. It wasn't time for me to leave, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, it was really dark, and now I know a little bit more about myself and what triggers me, but I know a lot of people are still like working on that. So the shadow self, let's have a card for that. The darkness, and the darkness for fire signs can be incredibly scary for other people. And it can be really scary for that person themselves because you're like, what is going on here? But your shadow self is like, oh, yeah, bring it on, you know, because that's where they live. That's where they reside. So let me have a card for that. You know, honestly, it can seem sometimes that I'm pulling the cards intentionally or pre-selecting them or something like that, but I'm obviously not. So this dark, brooding, harmful thoughts that fire signs suffer from, they can go into depressions. Just stay there, please. Just no, not this time. Nope. So anyway, Lacey's trying to make her way in here. The Eight of Swords reflects that 100% so solidly, like feeling completely lost, you know, trapped in the head, how to get out of it. My son is an Aries, and he's still sort of in this phase where he's trying to really grow out of that. My youngest son is a Leo, so, and I don't see him go that deep into it as much as me and my son do, but my oldest son, sorry. But he's like been in situations where he just doesn't want to talk to anybody, and that's because you just get so much in your own head. So this is what you need to contend with, like how to get out of your own head. How do you make yourself feel better when you feel that darkness coming on? And the darkness can teach you some lessons, but it can also be a very lonely and scary place to be. So, you know, advice for that is to stop watching scary movies, you know, maybe switch to a video game that isn't all about death and murder, stop watching the news, just really try to cut out as much negativity in your life as possible to get out of this Eight of Swords thought prison. So that was pretty amazing to me, and it really just summed up how I lived probably the first 50 years of my life, and I'm 56 now, so it did take a lot of work on my behalf to get out of there. And sometimes I see it coming on, but now I recognize it, and I'm like, no, I'm not falling for it this time. I learned my lessons in the darkness, and I choose to stand in the power of my light now. Cancer, Pisces, and Scorpio, these are water elements. This is really, really, like, when you think about it, I'm going to tell you guys this, it's really kind of scary. The element is void. The shadow self element is void. And this is an absence of self and feeling adrift and lost. Like, you kind of want to think of that movie, Oh, good grief. Give it to me already. You know, the one with Wilson, Castaway. Like feeling like that, like there's nobody coming to help you. Just, you know, surrounded by, and obviously this is a water sign, so just being surrounded by endless miles and miles of water. And man, that just, I can't even imagine that feeling. But water signs are way prone to doing this. They could seem incredibly detached, you know, and just go into that. And again, that's where the shadow self thrives. So it could sort of ignite situations to make that happen, because that's where they're comfortable. So showing shadow self love is, you have to do it. You know, you can't be ashamed of your shadow self or hate your shadow self, because, you know, that movie Peter Pan where he's trying to catch his shadow or cut it off. It doesn't happen. It's always going to be there. And sometimes it's going to be stronger than you. So you're going to have to learn the meditations, the Tai Chi, the mantras, the acceptance, in order to blend that into you so that you can have a conversation with your shadow self. And no matter what other people think, if you're crazy or whatever. So void, an absence of self. Oh, imagine that feeling. Like you're just so disconnected that you might even be watching your life like it's a movie and you're outside of it. Feeling adrift and lost. And that's very harmful. So I love this card here for you guys. I think this is such a beautiful card to help you out. You know, I was saying that maybe you want to find some sort of technique to help you through this. I pulled the card of victory, which is the Ace of Swords. And this is also the symbol of Archangel Michael. So if you guys are going down this road where you feel like, you know, you're starting to just back out of life, you know, things are stretched and you can't really connect to other people, or your feelings are cut off and you're like, I don't care about anything. I don't care if everything is miles away, and your shadow self is like ordering a double cocktail because it's like, woohoo, this is the best. But meanwhile, you're like, what is going on? Why do I feel this way? Okay, so this is the advice that I'm getting from tarot, you guys. Just call on Archangel Michael, okay? And he'll come and help you, and he'll help cut these cords of that void and bring you back a little bit closer into reality. So the really important thing to understand about any sort of emotion, any sort of void, it's like an elastic band type of scenario. You know, when you pull an elastic band and it can only go so far and then it snaps, which was a really great game in elementary school. You know, but sometimes you're going to need help, and you don't always want to ride that wave of loneliness and feeling isolated and that void. So Archangel Michael can come in and help cut those cords for you with his sword of victory. So I think that's such a blessing that he showed up here for you guys, because I find that really scary. I find void even more terrifying than darkness, okay? Because at least in darkness, you're still kind of feeling and thinking something, whereas in a void you're like, who cares, you know? And that's just so hard to come back from. And that might explain the behavior of not only yourself but other signs, that water signs that you've been involved with, where you're like, why don't they care about what I'm just saying right now, right? So the air signs, Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, their shadow element is oblivion. And I'm going to describe this. So being unaware or unconscious of what is happening with self or others. So this could be so frustrating when you're dealing with that sign. But, okay, I'm talking about the signs themselves. So being unaware or unconscious of what is happening with self or others. So this is when, you know, somebody would go and tell you, if you were one of these air signs, this is how I'm feeling. You know, I really want to have a conversation about this. And you're like, I don't care. Whatever, you know, or you just don't understand them. Like, where are you even coming from? That's your shadow self just saying, I don't want to deal with this. You know, it's total nonsense. Run along. We'll have a conversation some other time, and kind of basically blowing people off. you know, or maybe even blowing yourself off, and your shadow self being so strong that it doesn't want to be integrated. It wants to run the show at the expense of other people. Okay, so this is a very dangerous trait also. And on a personal level, my the last guy that I dated, he was an Aquarius. And it was like I would express my opinion, and he was like, so, you know, and he had this really powerful shadow self, and he just really didn't know what to do with it, and his shadow self was running the show at the time that I was dating him. So it was like I had to step away from that because he just was so, he had no awareness of self. So this oblivion element, these are all scary. I mean, it's called shadow self for a reason. So, but this can keep you really stuck if you are Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, or if you're dealing with one of these signs, you know, knowing their shadow element is going to be very helpful to you in coming around with techniques to have conversations and hopefully get somewhere. All right. So, oblivion, this is where it gets you absolutely nowhere. So, there is a need to get in communication with your feelings, you know? You just have to, like, wow, like, what do you even do for that? Because it's just, you're Mount Rushmore. You're just sitting there sort of observing and not feeling anything. So this could really indicate to you blocked chakras, you know, because the energy is stagnant. This could be a call for you guys to do a particular qigong where it gets the negative energy out of your body, because in this state your life can go nowhere. Like, who wants to date that person? I did for a while, but he was smoking hot. But anyway, you know, you don't want to talk to people like that. It's like, I'm not being heard, you know, and you're just stuck. So really look at what you can do to combat oblivion in your life. You know, you might need to do the cord cutting meditations. It could be anything, but to get yourself going again and get past this state of oblivion. And if you find yourself being completely detached in a conversation with somebody, what is that telling you? So I find this all very fascinating. I'm super excited that I did this because, wow, I mean, what a learning curve for you. The dog. But anyway, amazing. I loved this. It was like really a self-discovery of things that I've seen in myself and things that I've seen in other people, and how you might, again, show empathy and compassion for people when their shadow self is more present than their sun sign. So fascinating. Guys, let me know what your shadow element is down below in the comments. Any video ideas, shoot me an email, oraclerising2@gmail.com, or let me know in the comments. Other than that, peace. Bye.